Hey ambassadors, this is Christina from Speak English with Christina, l'onglet fun, fluent et facile. Today is another special interview video, and today we're going to be talking with Estelle Tracy, who some of you probably know her already. She's a super blogger, an excellent food writer. She's a French woman who moved to Pennsylvania in the US in 2002. And she's also, of course, the author of the book Le Guide de survie alimentaire aux États-Unis. And, you know, she wrote this because this is a quote I found on her blog. I would never have imagined that a trip to the supermarket would be a challenge worthy of Fort Boyard. Because, of course, American food and French food is very different, and doing something as simple as grocery shopping or making a very simple basic recipe, French recipe when you're in the US is really a big adventure that can very easily become a big disaster, let's say. So Estelle, she helps people to avoid these disasters, especially with her survival guide. Now, in the video, you're going to see we talk a lot about the differences between French food and American food. We talk about exciting American desserts, differences between French breakfasts and American breakfasts, also where to get a real, delicious, authentic American breakfast in Paris. Things that shocked us in our adopted countries. So what shocked me about French supermarkets and what shocked Estelle about American supermarkets. And of course, tips for surviving in a different food culture, especially the US. Now, this is part one of our interview. Part two, you will get at the end of January. So if you want to be sure to get the second part of this interview, be sure to subscribe to Speak English with Christina. There's a little button, I think, right around there somewhere. You can subscribe to be sure to get the second part. You'll also get a list of the new vocabulary that you hear in the video, and with the time indications so that you know exactly where to listen for the new vocabulary. Okay, so enjoy the video and then I will see you just after. Okay, so hi Estelle. First of all, I'm really excited to like meet you face to face in person, because we've been on Facebook, we've been friends on Facebook for a while, and we've been going back and forth, and so I'm just really excited to actually meet you like almost in person for the first time. Wow.
Yes, thank you, Christina. I'm super excited to see you too.
Yay. Right, so Estelle, I thought what we could talk about today, since you, first of all, how long have you been living in the US?
I've been in the US for 14 years.
Okay, right. And so I've been in France for 12 years. So it's like we basically swapped places.
Swapped, exactly.
Exactly. And since, you know, everybody loves food, and especially French people love food, what are some of the things, like when you first arrived, if you remember, like what are some of the things that really surprised you, let's say in a good way? Let's start positive, in a good way, about American food.
Well, one of the first things that surprised me in good ways, I really like the American desserts, like when they were done well.
Yeah.
I really liked them, and I really liked American pastries like scones and muffins.
Mm-hmm.
I have a big sweet tooth, so I was really excited. I was excited about those.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that from a sweet perspective, I was quite pleased here.
Okay. So the desserts, yeah, it's true. It's quite funny because the other day I was watching, you know, in France there's a show Le Meilleur Pâtissier de France,
Yeah.
And they did a special on American desserts, and my husband goes,
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was really excited. My husband said, "All you guys have is cheesecake," and I was like, "No, we don't. We have tons of desserts." So yeah, there's a lot of desserts. I think that a lot of people, maybe French people, they don't realize. Like, what's your favorite American dessert?
Oh my. Um, I have to say, now that I'm getting older,
Uh huh.
I'm eating less and less sweet, so I'm trying to stay away, but I do really like a good cheesecake. Like it has to be very good. I have
Yeah.
certain places, you know. I do like a good cheesecake. And I do like layer cakes in general.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, as long as they come from very specific places, I'd
Yeah.
be very happy, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but yes, cheesecake is really a no-brainer for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, and also, I will say that, you know, like going back to what the things that surprise me in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in France, breakfast is usually sweet,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed like the like okay pancakes, but also like home fries and eggs for breakfast. I
Yeah.
think that's more filling in the morning.
Yeah.
So I have to say I don't do much sweet breakfast anymore because I got really excited about the savory
Right.
breakfast.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so that was a good one. I really like same thing. Like if you find the right diner,
Yeah.
breakfast can be a really good experience
Yeah.
here. It's all about finding the right places, but
Exactly.
you know, I
Exactly.
think so.
And you know what? There's actually it's an American breakfast diner that exists in Paris now. That I heard about. I haven't been. I really want to go. It's called Breakfast in America. And the guy, he was like, he lived in Paris, I think, during his studies. And he said, the
Uh-huh.
thing I really missed, he's like, I loved France, I love Paris, it's the best place in the world. But I really miss like a good American breakfast. And so he created this thing where you go and you can have eggs and sausage and bacon and toast
So
and
yeah.
exactly. And I really want to go.
I think he wrote a book.
He did write a
I
book.
really, yeah, I want to read that.
Yeah, I actually read it. In fact, I just
Oh,
finished reading it, and it's you should definitely. It's called Pancakes in Paris.
okay.
I can't remember the guy's name, but the book was really good, and it really you understand like the challenges of opening a restaurant in France. Like I would never want to do
Okay.
that, but I'm glad he
Really?
did
Okay.
because the restaurant looks fabulous for American breakfast. Yeah, exactly. Um, and I think maybe for me, when I arrived in France, the thing that I liked the best, I think it was just the fact that you could go to any basic supermarket and you would find these products that like in the US are very luxurious or very refined, like escargot.
Oh,
Like
yes.
you can find them in pretty much any supermarket in France because it's just a normal thing. Whereas, like where I'm from in the U.S., I'm from Mississippi,
Okay.
and a small city in Mississippi. Like you would have to drive like an hour or more to find something like that. And so I was like, oh, there's all of this nice escargot and foie gras and 10,000 different cheeses and smoked salmon. And it was like, just like a
Yeah,
treasure chest of good food.
right. It's like, you know, for me, like you know, like same thing when we go to the French grocery store when we go back,
Yeah,
you know, like you can find a decent croissant in like some of the grocery store. Like
yeah,
as long as they have butter in it, they'll be good. I mean, it's been my experience. They can be better than some of the bakeries,
yeah.
but you know, about France, what I like is that this fine food is really accessible to
Mm,
people. And I know personally that's, you know, I look forward to the day like that's going to be the same for the US where people will, all of them will enjoy,
yeah,
enjoy fine food like that, you know.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's maybe the thing that I was really excited about when I arrived in France was just like, yeah, the abundance of really good things in like very basic supermarkets. You didn't have to go to some specialty shop that's very expensive. It's like you go to Monoprix and you
Yes.
find, or Carrefour or
Okay.
whatever, and you find really good stuff. Now, what about let's say the opposite. Like, what is the thing that like maybe was shocking, or you just like you're like I can't do this.
Well, for me, it's the like how easily you could get junk food
Ah,
and
yeah.
like candy bars. Like candy bars were just everywhere,
Yeah.
and it was just so easy to eat poorly.
Yeah.
And I think like all of my like I was 23 when I came, so I was still a student in my head, like not eating. I wasn't necessarily into organic food
Yeah.
or vegetables. So for me, it's like party time. Like I think
It's
all
like
the all the
chocolate everywhere.
exactly, and candy and all the stuff that was rationed in my house. Now it's like and
Yeah.
it's cheap, and so all of like me and my other French intern friends, like for us, it's like the parents are gone and like we're teenagers and we're opening the cupboards and
Yeah.
like all this, and so what happens is I think we all go through the same thing. It's like at this age, especially, like, oh my gosh, like I can get so many of these Twix bars or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, the day you don't fit in your pants, you're like, okay, maybe that wasn't, maybe I need to do something. And it's like, I wish it was harder to find, or like it was more expensive. I
Yeah.
think that's where I'm like, okay, I need to do something about it. So now, like then when I realized that I needed, that was fun for like 2 months.
Right.
Then I just started not seeing them
Yeah.
anymore. I'm just like, you know what? You do not exist to me, and that was that.
And that was you did the binge on the junk chocolate, and then it was okay. Yeah.
Yes, I did the binge on many other things. I had the cheesecake too, but yeah, let's not go there. Those
Yeah.
are dark.
Exactly. Yeah.
And about you?
So yeah. I'd say maybe this kind of goes back to the positive thing, but it relates to your story about when you realize, hey, maybe I need to stop doing this. It was French pastries, like
Oh,
eclairs and les religieuses and flan and all sorts of cakes. And like I would, because when I came to France originally, it was for a study abroad program, so it was originally supposed to be 1 year. So I was like, okay, I have 365 days to eat all the French pastries that I will ever eat in my life. So it was like, I would pass by the bakery and I would get a pastry probably
uh-huh.
like twice a week. And then like,
Oh my.
yeah, no, I was like, oh, I have to eat a religieuse this week because I only have, 30 weeks to be here. And then after I, realized I was going to live here, I was like, okay, I need to stop with the pastries because they will always be there. And I cannot eat 3 a week because then I will be the fat American. And I don't want to be the fat American that, I'm like, hi, I'm a stereotype.
I am sure,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And
And
it's
then,
heavy. I mean, you can't eat a like religieuse. It's like it's something you eat once in a while. It's very, it's
yeah,
not, like a croissant you can eat a
yeah,
little more frequently, but some of the pastries are actually, quite rich. Like
yeah,
that's a special occasion thing.
exactly.
I think.
And so
But we
now
give
now
yeah.
it's like, I try to save it for like a special occasion. Like if I have a new client, I'll celebrate with a little pastry and a coffee or something. But I try to keep it for like, there's a reason I'm going to get the pastry. It's not just like,
Right.
hey, it's there.
I mean,
Uh,
friend. Yes.
yeah, exactly. And maybe the thing that shocked me or that I found surprising kind of in a bad way, um, maybe I think it's in a bad way and in a good way. So as an American arriving, the bad thing was that like things are closed at certain times. Like you go to a restaurant and like at 2 o'clock they will tell you, sorry, you can't eat.
Uh-huh.
Which now I realize after being in France for so long, that's a good thing because you shouldn't be eating lunch at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But at the beginning, like I think the fact that like you don't eat
Mm-hmm.
all the time and things are not readily available
Mm-hmm.
24 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that supermarkets are closed on Sunday, even though now a lot of small ones are open on Sunday morning, but the fact that like Carrefour is closed on Sunday, I was
Yeah.
like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So I think that thing about food habits, in fact, is that it's quite
regimented almost.
yeah,
Yeah,
almost like
sure. Yeah,
regulated. I thought that was really kind of strange, just because I was used to everything being available at all times.
right.
Yeah.
And I think that's, it's, what you do, what you do. I mean, you've been there 12 years. I've been in the US 14 years. What you do is like, at some point you do just adjust. It's
Yeah.
like, when you're invited to like a birthday party here, which at 3 o'clock, there's going to be full, where you just accommodate that. Like, I know
Yeah.
going into it that this is what's going to happen. And depending on, the food, the quality of food I expect to find, then I'm
Yeah.
going to either eat before or not.
Right, exactly. You know, if you need to like
But
fill up before because it's only junk at the party.
exactly, it depends. Like now I know the people and all that. But the thing is, like for me, that really is, you know, like what I like about changing culture.
Mm.
Like I actually am from a very multicultural family. Like my parents are from Turkey, and then my cousins live in Germany,
Yeah.
and like I actually really love the I love the thrill. I mean, I guess it's weird, but like I
Yeah.
love the thrill of like, you have to readjust so much.
Yeah,
Like for me, I
exactly.
get to hide. Like, so like at some point you do adjust, but I think it's really nice because it makes you reconsider your
Mhm.
habits, whether it's
Yeah.
in a good or bad way. And it's like, I remember that one day so when I was an intern,
Mhm.
I was, I was exchanging emails with a friend who was in Connecticut, an American friend who had
Right.
been on the study abroad program in France. And it was like 11 o'clock. And I told her like, oh, I'm hungry. And she's like, well, if you're hungry, eat. And I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. Like I was waiting for lunchtime,
Like that's not 12
and it's,
o'clock. I can't.
exactly. And it's like, you know what? I don't have to have a meal now, but I can have an apple or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, there, it just makes you reconsider everything. And I think
Yeah.
that's the beauty of like changing countries wherever it is that you go, is that, there are things that you don't even realize are part of your background or
Yeah.
like your baseline. It just makes you look under like the carpet, like, oh, I didn't
Exactly.
know this was here. And it's like, for me, it's like I've seen, it's funny. I've, I've, I've seen so many French people,
Yeah.
like the first 18 months, like I was in a very French heavy community.
Right?
Like we were
Yeah.
all interns. It was super fun.
Yeah.
But, everybody I thought was like, almost all of them, but we all lived in the same town. We all
Right.
had the same salary. We all had the same material circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I saw some of them having the time of their lives and then other people being miserable. And I thought, there has to be something else, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how can you explain that we have the same friends, like we have
Right.
so much
Yeah.
that's common. There has to be in
What's
your head
making the
somewhere.
difference? Yeah.
Exactly. We ate the same food, like
Yeah.
like we traveled the same places, like as a pack, like,
Right.
and it's like, but, I think that's the beauty though of being an expat or
Yeah.
changing countries or living abroad is like, you get to reconsider everything. And I think it's
Exactly.
thrilling, and, it's okay to reject everything at first,
Yeah.
but at first, I think
Yeah.
it's,
Then you have to
you
accept
know,
it or be miserable. So, yeah.
yeah, for 20 years.
So, I hope that you really enjoyed part one of our interview. And like I said, if you want to receive part two, you just need to click on, I think right there. There will be a button to click to subscribe to my weekly English lessons so that you're sure to get part two when it comes out. Also, of course, be sure to check out Estelle's blog, Le Croissant et le Be sure to check out Estelle's blog, Le Hamburger et le Croissant, where she talks about the differences between French and American food. She has recipes, advice for making American dishes, so that's very exciting. You can try some real American dishes. and just learn all about cooking American food and the differences between French cuisine, American cuisine, and why both of them are really, really delicious. Also, don't forget if you have a friend who lives in the US or who is visiting for a long time and will need to cook some food, be sure to get Estelle's book, Le Guide de survie alimentaire aux États-Unis. It's a fantastic book, and I wish that I had this book when Roman and I went to the US together for the first time we were there together, and we maybe would not have made disastrous crepes and quiche and things like that. It was just really bad because the ingredients are so different. So anyway, subscribe to the blog, check out Estelle's blog, check out her book, and and for you, tell us a little bit if you have tried some American food. What was the best, the worst, the strangest, the most surprising in a good or bad way? Tell us about your experience with American food in the comments below the video on the blog, because I would love to read your stories. I love reading your stories every Tuesday. It's really just a fun moment for me. So I look forward to reading your stories in the comments, and subscribe to be sure to get part 2 of this interview in January. All right, guys, have a good day, and I will see you next time.